Flags represent people, most often within a set geographic boundary. Within the borders of Utah, the American Indian tribal groups used no flags to represent themselves. The first flag would be European, and the first Europeans were the Spanish. The explorer Garcia Lopez de Cardenas entered Utah from the south in 1540. He couldn't cross the river and reported the north as dammed. No other expedition of consequence would occur for 236 years until Escalante. These early Spanish explorers claimed the territory. However, the Spanish never settled any forts or cities, no government was ever established, and thus never flew any flag. But because of the claims, the Saltire of Burgundy, on paper, was the first flag of Utah. Spain had some trouble in the 1810s when her colony revolted. Mexico won independence in 1821, transferring the territory that made up Utah to her. The flag over Utah became Mexican, of which there were two. Again, on paper, Mexico never settled the area either because of the lingering economic turmoil which made it impossible. The region was easy pickings for illegal fur traders from Britain, France, and the United States, who established multiple forts in the area in the 1820s. 1825 saw the first recorded use of the Stars and Stripes when American fur trappers took over a British Hudson Bay Company fort. At this time, the United States flag had 26 stars. The first real government presence in Utah came with Salt Lake City, established in 1847 by Mormon pioneers who brought with them the flag of the United States. Yes, technically, by treaty, the land belonged to Mexico, but it does no good to claim you own territory if you can't enforce it. The Mexican-American War happened 1 year later anyways, which put an end to that question. Utah Territory was established, but never had an official flag. Some newspapers reported flags that might have been in limited use, but nothing was on the books. The flag of Utah was simply the American flag, of which there were 12 versions during this 50-year period. Utah became a state in 1896 after the government lobbed off a lot of land, bringing the star count up to 45. Having an official state flag wasn't necessarily an immediate priority. Therefore, she didn't adopt one until the St. Louis World Fair of 1904. States were allowed to set up their own exhibitions, so Utah rushed through a flag design to be ready in time for the Utah Pavilion. It was simply the state seal adopted years earlier, painted white on a blue background, but it did the job. In 1913, a new flag was commissioned for the USS Utah battleship. However, it was mistakenly printed in color and with an added ring around the seal. Instead of sending it back, the legislator just simply changed this to be the new flag because laziness? By 1922, a slightly different version of the flag was being used, with the date 1847 moved below the shield. This was an error. The flag code stipulated that the date must be on the shield. No one seemed to notice or care until this error was finally fixed in 2011. Meaning, the Utah flag was legally wrong for 89 years. In 2018, the Utah legislators started the process of creating an entirely new design, which culminated in the creation of the beehive flag. It was meant to replace the other, but there were some controversies, concessions, and haggling within the government. Instead of replacing the old flag outright, it was reclassified as the historical flag of Utah, while the new beehive flag was simply made the state flag. So Utah doesn't have just one flag, but two.